Alrighty, well, let's get into it. What possessed you to write this book as far as you're exposing the early days of the Satanic Temple and more?
Mm, that's a good one. There's a lot there. Revenge, irritation, justice, mental health care. So to for when the Satanic Temple started, I pretty tried to ignore it. When I had my rift with Doug and Kevin, that bitch. What can we say on here?
That's fine.
I got to watch what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I get angry with this. Start name calling Chicago. If you don't live in Chicago, you won't get it. Um, so when it first started happening, when we scored headlines and it started to hit, and we had riffs, I just walked away and I ignored them, and anything that was said about it, I wouldn't acknowledge. You don't want to give power to your enemies. You don't want to speak their name, if you don't have to. And at some point it grew, and then they started to have like they started to create propaganda to hurt me and my reputation or my character. And so I had to fight back at some point. And as a book publisher of 30 years, I've published a lot of books. It's just a natural thing for me to want to put stories into books, whether they're mine or yours or someone else's. And when I was cut out of the Hail Satan documentary and their history and how they started to talk about me having nothing to do with it, I was like, yeah, I did a lot of work. I'm going to take my own credit then. And then just a lot of the harmful things that happened towards me and my family were a direct result of their cult members. And so this is about fighting back a little bit, but it's also about bringing justice to the reality of the situation versus the idealistic nature of their recreated their creation myth, which is a lie. And the idea is this comes back to Anton LaVey. The first chapter in that book is LaVey, and Doug was a big Anton LaVey fan, and he came to me as how I met him is he was an Anton LaVey groupie, and being a person that was a friend of Anton's, Dr. LaVey as we would call him. There you meet a lot of people that are really impressed by, oh, you touched him, you met him, oh my God. And that's fine, that's cool. I wasn't like that when I met him. I looked at him eye to eye. He was a counterculture person. When I left, I looked at him like that. Don't get me wrong. I understood he was a real cool guy and powerful, magical. So there was
Why don't we segue into that next question? Because that actually works pretty well.
Go ahead.
That meeting with LaVey. Explain how that happened.
Well, I had done something in my life, unlike a lot of people that join the Satanic Temple for free and have done nothing. They just use it for an identity type of thing. I had done a lot of work at that point, and Anton LaVey knew who I was. I was a big name in the counterculture. This is pre-internet, so it wasn't so easy to create a fake image of yourself and get on Instagram and get a bunch of followers. I had to work really hard at publishing obscene material, and it was deemed obscene. I was publishing my own zine and putting out music and other things, producing stuff, concerts. And I started to put out books that were deemed obscene in our country, like Mike Diana's A Boiled Angel. I put that out. I republished that when he was arrested. I said, give me the book, I'll publish it. And I remember him saying, but what if they arrest you? I go, someone else will publish it. We cannot tolerate this. We cannot tolerate printed matter being put as obscenities. It's bullshit. It's just information. Quick, the concept is don't kill the messenger.
Right.
Deal with the message. And so I started to publish that, and I became now this is early 90s. Then anyone who had a problem with printing, hey Shane, do you know how to get this printed? Can you get this printed for me? How so I was helping people, zinesters and stuff, publish. And so that led me to get an invitation I wrote to Anton LaVey. I wrote to them and said, I'm going to put out Might Is Right. And I don't care what you have to say about that. I'm going to put this out, and I'm going to let Gothic people know that you riffed off this book. So you have a chance right now to deal with me and write an introduction and explain yourself, or I'm going to explain yourself. And And I stapled $100 onto the envelope or onto the note, and I said, this is for you to read. I know you must get a lot of mail. This is for you to read the note. And I'd done that back in the day. I would do that for a handful of famous people that I wanted to publish. I would be like, hey, here's $100. I'm a publisher. Come, I'll pay you, and to let me publish stuff. It was serial killers and stuff like that. I would do it all the time, and so that wasn't uncommon. And they sent me back a membership. And I sent them back the membership, said, I want this. I'm not a member of nothing. I just want to talk to you and do a business deal with you or no business deal. And that's how it opened up. And he loved all that. He was a Chicago guy. And, people talk about Chicago, talk a lot of shit about Chicago when they're not from here. Like it's violent and all that shit. Chicago's not violent. It's absolutely not violent. I've never been hurt in Chicago. But there's a golden rule to Chicago. You respect or else. You walk when you go into someone's neighborhood, you have respect for that neighborhood or else. And LeVay was like that. He was like a hippie, but he was different from hippies where they were like, be cool, respect my boundaries. You could walk all over a lot of the hippies. Not LeVay, not any of the LeVay family. They were cool like hippies, ... or else. And so I really appreciated that as a Chicagoan. I was like, oh, that's like Chicago. Yeah, I do love this dude. And so that was part of it. But that's how I got the invite, is just being a counterculture person that had done a lot of work that was deemed valuable by the counterculture, heroic at times people would say that. And back then, present day, my name's been dragged all over the place. But back then, I was treated as a hero for putting out material that wasn't put out, and I was considered a free speech advocate. And now how somehow the communist left, anarchist left, and I'm not left or right. But I am a very liberal person. They try to frame things differently. And it's like free speech is a dog whistle now, which it's not. It's a dog whistle to them.
Yeah, and that's actually was also how you met Doug Mesner as well, as through Might Is Right.
Yeah.
And he would do the artwork, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, Doug came to me. Okay, so back in the day, I'm the same kind of person. I'm an artist, and I try to do business. I'm not always successful at shipping books on time, stuff like that. So it's in that time I was notorious for people buying books from me, and they'd be like, "Yeah, you've been a year since you haven't shipped me my book." And so Doug had called me on the 800 number and offered to take me out for sushi if I would sell him Might Is Right. He was coming from Detroit, coming down. He wanted to visit and talk to me. He was a big fan. And so I was like, okay, sure. So I opened up this big metal door. I had this building at the time, big metal door. He knocks on, I slip him out, give me the money. I look at him, oh, okay, I'll go out to lunch with you. We go for sushi. And that's how it started. And he pitched me on the idea. He's like, I'd really love to do artwork for it. The Might Is Right. And he handed me all these journals, all of his journals and his writings up to them, just a stack of them. And a lot of artists did that back then. There was no internet, again, it's pre-internet or pre-social media internet as it today. We had email.
Right. It's not like, let me go take a look at your Instagram and see all your drawings.
No, it would take 6 days to upload a photo through the phone line. So, it was text. It was simple. And so, he pitched the idea of doing artwork for it. And I looked through his book and I was like, yeah, this is really tight stuff. I really enjoyed his artwork. In his drawing, I really, once a fan, I consider like once a fan, always a fan. And once we're an enemy, we're always enemies. So it's like that. So we're both enemies, and I'm still a fan of his illustrations. And so I was like, yeah, let's do this. So he chose anything that was in Might Is Right. I thought he was in an interview somewhere where he's backtracking, and Shane hired me to do that, and I didn't do anything but what he said. And he did do a lot of that. He did do a lot of exactly what I said and listened to what I said because he mentored under me. And so, but that was, as when I work with artists, I give them a great freedom to do what they want and some guidance, but freedom. So yeah, Doug chose to do all that. Yeah. So and that was the start of our working relationship. Yeah. Just like you and I are working together on some stuff, it's just sort of happened organically. It wasn't like.
Right. Continue. Sorry.
Oh no, that's it. I don't know if I answered that.
Okay, so why don't we go back a little bit because we went on a little bit of a tangent there.
Okay.
Meeting at the Black House.
What was
How
that?
did that go down?
What was that?
The meeting at the Black House with LeVay, and I believe at this time it was Blanche Barton.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Explain how that went down.
I am the only one in the world, and that's no joke, that's talked to all the LeVays and all the, the top tier of the Satanic Temple, all of them, I've even taken a bike ride with Crowley's grandson. So there's not anyone that can say that. So you're asking about the meeting at the Black House?
Yeah, how did that happen?
Well, I told, I published Might Is Right with the forward from Anton, Dr. LeVay. And I was like, I want to bring this out and give it to you in person. And they were like, okay, when can you do it? And I'm like, anytime you can. And they were like, they loved it because they're like, wow, most of the people here have to get a day off, have to take time off of work. They, we have to schedule it around their work days off. And because I was a publisher and doing my own thing, I could do whatever I wanted. And so I remember them loving that. And so I wanted to come out. I went out. Oh God, really shows my age. This is crazy to say this. It sounds incredibly crazy. I was at the first San Francisco anarchist book fair, which I was going out there to put my books on the table, and I wanted to put Might Is Right down. I didn't know anarchists were so against it at the time. And so I was like, I'm coming out there for that convention, and so Blanche and LeVay offered a meeting. And it was wild because, like I said, I looked at LeVay as a counterculture person. I didn't look up to him and I didn't look down at him. I just eye to eye. And so I was blown away when I was in San Francisco with some friends, and I give Blanche the number. She said, we'll call you when we're ready. They didn't give me a time or date. They were just like, when Anton feels like it, we'll give you a call, and then you come over. So it was like I was just on hold, sitting there for days. Like, well, at some point, Blanche is going to call, and I'm going to head over to Anton's house. And everyone that was hanging out with me in San Francisco was like almost shaking in their boots. They were like, you're going to visit Anton? Holy shit, can you take me? And everyone was excited. So I got to feel that he was a bigger deal than most of the counterculture people I had dealt with. And I dealt with Black Panthers, Yippies. I was in the counterculture. I was jumped into the counterculture at that point. And so Blanche called. Me and the person I was with went over there. It was fucking great. It was like a movie almost. It's like we go up, the gate. There's a big gate, a barbed wire gate, and they say it'll be left open at this time for 15 minutes. Okay. We get there. We're there about an hour early, and wait for time. And I open up the gate. It's open, unlocked. And lock it behind you. Click. Go up the stairs. Knock. 1, 2. Everything was like perfect stage. 1, 2, 3. Door opens. Hand comes from outside of the door, which was this guy Tony that was Anton's bodyguard and driver. And he put his hand out there, grabbed mine, pulled me into the door. I pulled my date into the door, and we go in, and it's just pitch black. He shuts the door. And you could sort of see, and you could feel around. There was like newspapers stacked up and other things, like books. He had stacks of books every fucking where, dude. You, the bookworm you are, would have loved it. Like there was stacks of books and reading material everywhere. It was wonderful. So we walk in, and and he opens up this door to the ritual chamber, which is where when you see the pictures, the famous pictures of people on top of that stone.
The fireplace.
Well, what do you call altar? The stone
Mantle?
altar. Yes, it was a fireplace as well, but we're going to call it by what Anton uses as an altar. And we get put in there, and we sit down, and so Blanche comes and sit down. She's set in baby blue, perfect, as LeVay explained. Blonde, big ass, big butt. And just the LeVay perfect. His perfect woman. And there was a piano in the corner, and there was like a rocking chair where you'd sit down, like a rocking chair, but it was like for maybe people who were pregnant or something. And it had a urinary. It was like from a hospital. It had like a bucket where you'd piss in, and he'd have witches rock in the chair and piss because he'd like to watch. And I don't know. Can I say that? Please stop me, Jason. Just hold up your hand and go. Please. But he had, yeah, I got to watch what I say here. He had.
Yeah, it's not me. It's the app.
Right. And I respect the app. I don't want to mess things up. I got to really try though, So
it definitely is hard. It really is on this app.
but that chair was my favorite because I happen to appreciate the same kind of stuff. I like to watch that stuff. And so I was like, oh, I love that chair, man. That's great. But then then they were like, when they're showing me around, they're like, don't touch anything. And what do? I'm like, touch, touch, touch. They're like, was a chair roped off. This was Rasputin's chair. Touch. Looks over, LeVay looks over. This was Crowley's pipe. Touch. And I do that in museums. Like I get kicked out of museums because there'll be like a Picasso, and I'm like, that's whatever it is. It is. And so that was it. I, sat next to this coffin that was the one that Sharon Tate was pictured in. And I'm in the room, and you're like, this is the one in all those photos. This is it. This is crazy, And so it was cool because you're like, I'm in a history. I walked into a moment of history. It's like you've seen this photo. I saw it 100,000 times by that point. And it's like, and just like I said, not even being a LeVay fan. And so it was real cool. It was real cool. And, he walked in the room, waited, like I said, 10 minutes. And all of a sudden the door opens, Bugbee. That should be a name. And he said some stuff like, that should be you should be in with Hinkle. He said something that flowed with 2 other names. He goes, you do good with the business with this name. Bugbee's a great name. No one's going to forget that name. That is a great name. Bugbee, Shane Bugbee, guaranteed, Shane. No one's going to forget that name. And then when I left, I remember him saying, no one is going to forget you, Shane. And because we had exchanges. And so that was real special. Then we went in his kitchen, and he had these keyboards set up. The whole kitchen was keyboards. It was all keyboards, and a refrigerator and a counter and keyboards, and like a little place where you could sit down a counter, but keyboards everywhere. It was like wild. And he boom, 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 and did this, going at it. I did this whole thing, and then he'd stop and tell some jokes or talk to us about something. We asked some questions, and he'd serve this double stuffed Oreo cookies, instant coffee. And I remember at one point he's like, I was there to do an interview, and I'm like, I got a recorder. He's like, I'm not letting anyone record me anymore. I was like, well, why not? And he's like, the guy who run research book, the research, Vival recorded me. I asked him for the copies of the recording, never gave them to me, so no one gets to record anymore. And he's like, so why don't you take notes? Just take notes. I'm like, I'm not doing that. He's like, why? I go, that's not my process. And he's like, well, I go, I need to do the interview. That's why I'm here. I don't want to waste my time. And he's like, yeah, we'll take notes. And I'm like, I'm not taking notes. I'm not a secretary for no one, dude. I got to do my process or nothing. And he both him and Blanche looked over like I'm saying no to Anton, and I don't think many people did that. And they laughed. They loved it. They were like, okay, how can we work this out? So we did fax. We did it through fax. And I don't know if kids know what that is, younger people, but a piece of paper comes through the phone lines. It was magic back then. And so that was it. But I hung out there for like 12 hours. Like, it was crazy. We hung out there all night. And then we went right to the Anarchist Book Convention. Anarchists surrounded my table at some point thinking I was a Nazi, looked at everything I published and said, you couldn't be a Nazi. Look at this stuff will get you killed by Nazis. I go, yeah, right. And they considered me a nihilist.
Wording.
You can't say those
Wording.
words?
Well,
what?
The unalive.
Oh, unalived. This is rough.
It definitely is on this app.
Okay, this is rough. Oh, goodness. I hope we didn't get kicked off.
No, we still have it. I have yet not gotten a warning or anything. I'm just pretty sure we just didn't hit the algorithm.
Okay. So they said all this stuff, and I was sitting next to Vival, the guy who had messed LeVay over and didn't give him the recordings.
Oh, really?
And then at that point I was in love with Anton because he was just such a cool guy. And when I left, I remember him saying, thank you for doing this. And I was like, dude, Satanists is saying thank you to me? This is just crazy. And that really stuck to me. It was probably the biggest thing ever, was how gracious he was, how kind he was, and how thankful he was. And so I remember Vival got up to go to the bathroom. I took all of his books off the table and threw them in the trash can. And he came back, where's all my books? And I'm like, So there it is. There's the story, I think, pretty much.
All right, well, let's continue on with the other fascinating people that you've met throughout your life too, and these are all things that are in the book as well. So let's keep building up until we get to the point where you're actually making the book.
Okay.
So when you met Gilmore, was that only through the Radio Free Satan, or did you meet him outside at other events as well? Like, because at this time, LaVey was the last one who gave you priesthood. He was the last person, or you're the last person he gave a red card to.
Correct. I'm the last person he taught. I'm the youngest of the old guard. I was the last. And Peter took over after that. And it changed. I don't get along with Peter, but that's neither here nor there. We're not meant to get along always.
Right.
I met Peter based on that. When he took over the reins, I was affiliated. I was working with Blanche. Here's stuff. Y'all see these Baphomet T-shirts everywhere. Well, that's Anton stuff, and they had the trademark to that. So I call up and I go, "Hey, dude, I see these in punk rock stores all day long, and people are making a dime on this. So why can't I do that? Can I print the T-shirts and send you some money?" He's like, "I get 10%. You can do whatever you want." And I said, "Dude, I'll give you 20%. No problem." So I start selling the T-shirts, but I also do Chicago. If I go into a store and see the T-shirts, I pull them off the racks and said, "These are mine now. We own the trademark for this. And if you want problems, we'll give you a lawyer. We'll have a lawyer come in and deal with you. So you don't sell these shirts anymore. I do." And then I was the first person to really sell the Church of Satan. And I did it on candles, coffee mugs, shot glasses. I think Satan Me.
Yeah.
Lestat, Magistrate Lestat, he copped every single thing he does comes from me. And that's no joke. He called me. I helped him out with some stuff. We were working originally. And he's, but I was doing that first. And I did it great. And I don't know where I'm going with that. What was you said?
Meeting Gilmore and Peggy Andromeda. How were they when you met them?
Okay, so the first time so because I'm in the gang, I'm gang, and this is the new guy that's taken over. I want to go meet him because I barely wanted to be a member in the first place. I was given that as a gift, and that's funny when I said that to Anton. I don't want him. I'm not a joint. I don't join. He goes, the best Satanists are the non-joining ones, and so I go out, and I think we took Peter out to Thai food in Hell's Kitchen in New York, where he lived, and it was cool. Peter's now, as far as representing the philosophy, Peter's great. Okay, we just don't get along. He's a really smart guy, and he really knows what he's dedicated his life to this, and he knows what he's talking about. That doesn't mean I have to agree with them. But most of the stuff you hear out of the Satanic Temple and stuff like that, they don't know what they're talking about, and it's purposeful. They're purposefully misguiding people. As much as I don't like Peter, I give him the respect of his intelligence, his well-read. He looks at things I look at things in a class issue too, but Peter's upper crust, so his supremacy comes with you're wealthy, you come from education, stuff like that, and I see working class as having just as much of all of that. We just speak a different language. So we sort of part ways on that kind of stuff. And he's taken the fry cook out of Satanism. And Anton LaVey, I like to remind people, was a fry cook. And he came up with this theory of Satanism as a fry cook, looking at people eye to eye, not looking down on people like a person with a high education does.
Sharon just joined us. Actually, that's a great segue right now.
Oh, I love that. Hey, what's up, Sharon?
So that's actually a great segue going into my next question. How did you meet Stanton?
Okay. He I met Stanton when he was a young man, when he was running the Odium bookstore. And it was like he wasn't playing a Satanist at the time. He was living it, but he was a book publisher. He was an intellectual. People drag that guy without a clue as to how the shame of that. It was no one wanted to harvest that guy's knowledge, and he was a really smart guy. And he spent his life on the same as Peter, is studying Satanism. But he was running a zine store, and he was really counterculture in a revolutionary sense, where he wanted to change the world now. So he was doing things, I think, with John S. Nile, and it was called the Odium Bookstore, and it was legendary. And I was doing a bookstore in an art gallery in Chicago called Goat Gallery. So I had heard of Odium, and when I went on this road trip, I went out that way, and I caused trouble in LA. Like I said, I was pulling the Baphomet out of stores. If anyone was selling Anton LaVey CDs, I'd went in there and cracked them in half. You know, if they were bootlegging them, total Chicago bully shit stuff. And so I remember going in the Odium and looking around and going, who's selling these CDs? And Ask Now goes, oh, this is Anton's grandson. You know, and I'm like, you know, then I can't do nothing. I can't break things in half. So that's the first time I brushed him. But it was not like I met him and we met each other, but it was like, hi, how you doing? Goodbye. Neither of us cared. Then I moved to LA and worked in movies. Is that good? Can I do that?
That works.
You know, films, okay?
There you go.
Stanton was living in LA at the same time, and people would constantly say, you don't want to meet up with Stanton, he's dangerous. I go, I'm just as dangerous. I want to meet up with him. Oh, no, him and his girl, they'll do something, you know, unalive you. And I said, well, let's let him try. And no one would get us together. I really wanted to get together with him, and people really worked at keeping us apart. And so we had some discussions, and when he did his 666 Eve show, we spoke on the phone. He invited me. I invited him to my event. And he was going to war with COS, and I was like, and mind you, this is going to come back to this.
Absolutely.
I remember saying to Stan, I said, dude, why would you go to war with them without a book out to sell? Why would you go to war with them without having something to profit off of? And I remember saying, oh, I'm going to get that book done. You know, that's a good idea. And so this is exactly it. Why am I going to go to war without it? You know?
Perfect.
And so then we come to modern times. And Stan is with the lovely Sharon. And Sharon is a great negotiator. She can wrangle snakes and pit bulls and make them all cool. Like, calm down, little pit bull. Calm down, little snake. Come on, don't bite each other. She's got a great talent with that. And so me and Stan talk, and I swear, each phone call was like, yeah, I love you, you're cool. And the next phone was like, I'm gonna send someone to your house. You're you know. So we had a tumultuous time. But I loved him. We had a friendship at some point. He said, he took me as a brother almost, because I've been shot. I don't know if you heard that. Someone dropped something upstairs, but we had a tumultuous relationship. But then I flew out to meet him because of what I was doing here with this book, and what I was trying to, what I had started with the Satanic Temple had gotten out of control. And what I'm saying, it got out of control is a lot of really, and everyone's ignorant to something, so please don't take offense to me saying you're ignorant. But a lot of people that were ignorant to what's going on were taken advantage of with the Satanic Temple, and they start to redefine something that a lot of people had taken a long time and blazed a lot of trails and taken a lot of hits, like Stanton, like Sharon, like myself, like a lot of we've been run out of towns, we've been misinterpreted. We the fire had been put to our feet. And so I went out to meet Stanton and Sharon. And because I do business Chicago way, I'm going to go out and we're going to go eye to eye. And, I fell in love with them both right there. They were really great people, and it absolutely reminded me of Anton's life, based on like they were hippies, but or else. Like I said, they're cool, ... or else. And so, be cool with them or else. And so they're just real cool. And we jived somewhat. And throughout that relationship, what we're doing with the Witches' Sabbath, it was something I was trying to get Stanton involved with in the first one. So it was like, but we had this tumultuous thing going. And so I could see repairing Satanism, what the damage I'd done to it with Stanton. And the same way I suggested to Doug early on with the Satanic Temple is the way we're going to be able to leverage people's ear is to get a LeVay involved. And no LeVay is going to get involved with this except the one you could pay $20 to do anything. And so Zandora enters the picture. And so she'll jump through the hula hoop for $20, right? Here you go. Go ahead. And so she came out and, did some nonsense at Harvard, and that sort of leveraged an ear. And so I discussed this with Stanton, and he was working on the order. And so the Satanic Order, you have to ask Sharon what the exact name of it is. And so I started to consult him on that, same as I would Doug, and we started to work on stuff. And you can see that there's the Satanic Almanac. There's a version of that on archive.org, and you could read a brief part of our interview where we talk about reforming or bringing things back to the original Anton concept. I think Stanton would call it the 68 Satan, the Church of Satan. Looking for my hanky. Yeah, so
Yo, Satanus.
and it was
Yeah.
and Stanton is in this new version of this book. So right now, when I tell you like I'm the only one in the world to talk to all these people and stuff like that, like quite literally, I have the last interview with Anton LaVey, the full interview is in this book, and the full last interview with Stanton LaVey is in this book. And I also have the last interview with Carla LaVey. Now she's still alive, but she said she will not be doing interviews anymore. Whether she does that or not, we'll find out. But so I'm holding the last interview with Carla was there when Satanism was created. She was answering the phones for the Church of Satan when she was a kid off the school bus. So it's like she was there, visually watched the formation of it. Xena wasn't. She was a baby. She didn't understand. And so I have these last interviews. So they're in this book, and this is not only a hit on the Satanic Temple. This is an important work as far as all of Satanism.
Right.
I go to the actual source. I'm not guessing here. I went and asked the questions of the masters, the LeVays. And so, that's what makes this important. That my book is way beyond Doogie and that nonsense. My book is serious.
Right.
Yeah. So there you go. That's how I met Stanton. And I was talking to him in the last days. We were starting to do podcasts. We were starting to do video things on my YouTube channel. You could see. And, it's just one of those life struggles. And
right. And this is actually where I started trying to reach out to some of these people too, trying to do the same thing you did. I sent him a friend request on
the new
Facebook.
Satanic Order is what Sharon just chimed in. Ordo Satanus.
Yeah. When I messaged him after I saw a post that he was looking for a passport because he got invited to an event over in Europe. So I sent him a couple bucks saying, hey, dude, I hope this helps. And I hope to chat with you in the future. And then literally a month later, we all get the sad news.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the last Witches Sabbath was, Sharon conducted a ritual, and had something to do with Stanton, but she would have to explain it.
Well,
it was a sad
she's
event.
got enough people. I don't mind inviting her up here too.
Right. I'm sure she'll come on sometime, but I'm talking right now. And
yeah. So there you go.
I'm saying it was a real sad affair with the Witches Sabbath last year. We went through with it, but it was because I didn't want to do it. Because I was working with Stanton, we were talking about, he's like, I got contacts with this big band. I got these contacts. So we were going, it was energy. Sharon's in there. Yeah, and Sharon, of course, brought us together because we got in death blows, fights. And Sharon would come on, guys, we're of the same family. Come on, let's do this. So, I'm grateful for Sharon for that because I would have missed a lot of great times with Stanton. Here's a Stanton story, though. I shouldn't say this. I won't. I'll tell you next time. There's a good story there. I can't say it on TikTok. We'll have to be on YouTube or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, it's the Sabbath.
And if you want to find Sharon LaVey, you go to baphometx.com. That's the website.
Absolutely. Um, so you kind of went over Carla of getting her last interview at the Witch's Sabbath. That was the first one, wasn't it?
Yes.
So how did you pitch her the idea? How did you get her to come to the Witch's Sabbath for
As
this
she
interview?
says in the interview, I threatened her, same as I did with her father. It's just a Chicago linguistic drift. I ask, but the first one I was promoting, and I used a picture of Anton, and I'm of the mind it's easier to say you're sorry than ask permission. And she came at me and said I got to take the photo down because she owns the rights, and she does all this stuff. So she gets on the phone with me and starts threatening me. I go, don't threaten me. We could go to, I love war. You want war? I'll give you war. And it was on Anton's birthday. And she was like, it was surprising because she's like, it's like, and she was like, it's like my father's pushing us together. And I'm like, why don't you come out to the Witch's Sabbath? And because she's talking, I go, you talk all this shit like you have authority. And she goes, I do. And I go, no, you don't. You don't assert it. You sit there and you're silent. You have to assert your authority to have authority. And so I said, come to the Witch's Sabbath and start asserting yourself. And so she did. And it was a great time. I mean, she's a great time.
Like I said, that interview, the word for word from that interview is in this new book. And it was awesome to be able to read that. And I think it was you, because I was starting to ask about some of the older days of the COS, especially during the 80s. And you're like, read that interview, read that interview, read that interview. And I remember reading it, and I just text back to you, great, now I'm emotional over this because it's such a powerful interview.
The reading in the new version is way better because whoever edited it, the person who helped me edit the other one had political motives. So they were taking things out that they thought were politically incorrect, or they were carving the story for in their own mind. And when I do books, I follow the vibe of the book. I don't go, oh, I don't like this word. I don't like how they're using this. I don't do that. I'm like, I follow the honesty of the work. I try to find what's the truth in this interview and follow it. And so now that interview is way longer. It's all of it. And it's really, I'm really happy with it. That's it.
Definitely. Especially since I got the first edition copy and now everyone gets to read the final draft of this. And it's just even more information than what I was able to get off the first
much
one.
like all of my publications, because I'm counterculture and underground, and they all hit, they get publicity. All of them sell for high amounts of money. Like all of my old books go from like $3,000 to $1,000. That book that you have there, I put it out because I know it'll be a collectible. That'll be a high end collectible because there's only so many out there. Mm-hmm. And so that's not the mass published one. That's from me to you with typos, with how the new one's not laid out that way. It doesn't have color pages. It's a better read. But that's from my heart. That was like artists. Like I was working with Claudia Berdella and Baffy Myers from Infernal Church. And so, and they were taught, they did an interview with me when they were 16. And so I'm working with them at 16, 17. It was great. It was like really cool because I didn't realize they were that young until someone started giving me grief for talking to 16-year-olds. And I was like, yeah, why would I be upset? Why am I going to be afraid of that? I'm not talking to them about anything weird. And they're asking, they're really smart young adults. They're super smart. And so, and especially Claudia, I was like, Claudia, everything. They had known, they were coming at me with things. I'm like, where do you get that from? She goes, oh, they would say, I'm getting that from your old radio show or this. So Claudia had remembered more about my history than I did. And so I was just blown away. So I'm like, hey, Claudia, would you help me do this book? Because you're like a file cabinet for my work. And they say, yeah. And so Claudia's been I'm grateful to Claudia and David or Baffy Myers from the Infernal Church. I'm grateful to both of them.
Wow. That's a whole new chapter that I didn't really notice. I read their names when I read the book, but this is like the first I'm hearing about their input and how they were influential in the first one. Like, that's actually really cool to know. And
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm like you. If you saw that whatever that video that you really liked, the podcast where it's like what is it, the grilling? Yeah, they made me work. They made me work. Like I had every week I had to get on a meeting and in Discord with them. They worked. They did not let up. And I remember one time I missed a meeting. I missed one meeting. I don't miss things, okay? So don't give me that. And so I'm like, I get online the next day. I go, hey, I apologize, I missed the meeting. They go, oh, we figured you were napping. They start laughing like that. Like I go, that's old man joke, huh? And they go, well, David, he's like, well, were you? And I go, yeah, it was. Fucking young. I want to say kids, but they're not kids. They're young adults, and they're. It's minds like that that make me happy and save me from a day of depression. With all the ignorance in the world, Claudia or David makes up for 10,000 people. You know, for 10,000 ignorant people, a person like Claudia or David or yourself, I mean, you're the same kind of intelligence as them. I really enjoy talking to you. We talk a lot. And that kind of intelligence is like, oh, God, good. I'm so glad you're out there. I think things will survive. Satanism will survive because you all say why. You question it. You're skeptical. You don't follow what, someone's like, don't talk to Shane. You're like, why? Let me find this out.
right.
So that's a great quality.
So let's go back into the Wayback Machine. Because you have a part in the book with Heart Warrior. And this is that time when you were up in Minnesota. And it's kind of the same thing. And this is a great tangent. Everyone was telling you, don't talk to the natives up there. Don't mess with them. And you had the same mentality. Well, why not? I'm going to go talk to this person.
Same as I did with LeVay. Yeah, right, because people would tell me he was a lot of names. Look it up. They call Anton a lot of names. And so I was like, I want to see what the deal is. And I found them to be wrong. Yeah, Heart Warrior was one of my mentors. Heart Warrior Chosa from the Ojibwe clan up in Ely, Minnesota. Yeah. I love her.
I was meeting her. You met through her kid, right?
It was like a movie, dude. It was like I got run out of Chicago into Hammond, Indiana. I got run out of Hammond, Indiana. And then I'm up in Ely, Minnesota in the middle of the woods trying to help out my partner's father who had just had a stroke. And I meet Sunrise, her son. And he's got a Dead Kennedy shirt on and all this, he's a cool, but he's native. When I say native, I don't mean like just DNA. When I talk a native, Heart Warrior Chosa lived in the woods. She would carry a canoe for 4 miles to get in the river. She had a cabin in the woods of Minnesota. Okay. Like, she was bad ass. I remember I started raising my voice once to her and she got off she stood up and put her arms on the table. Yeah. Like she was going to lunge at me, jump across the table and start fighting. I was like, I got intimidated. And then I would hear stories about Sunrise, and rest in peace, Sunrise passed away. Yeah, but he would be like in school, when he first started coming to school, the public school, if he wanted to talk to a girl, he was a big boy. And he'd go up and just hit some guy on the top of a young kid on the top of the head, and they'd drop, and he'd talk to the girl. So, and I mean, he's like, I'm saying, he could throw an axe, and hit the tree a mile away. He was like anything you would see in a movie or something. And so he comes over. He's like, my mom wants to meet you. I'm like, okay. And he's like, okay, come over in a couple days. So I go get a can of tobacco. I do all this stuff because I write about it somewhere. And people are telling me that's not the right thing to do, all that stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to do it anyway. And I go there. And she was like, oh, good. Gets the tobacco, rolls it. And it was like religious for her, spiritual, the offering of a tobacco, respect and tobacco. And everyone around town could not believe Heart Warrior would invite me over because she was very isolated and did not like people. And so she found me interesting, and same as, because I'm weird, I guess. I don't have this fear bone. I'm not afraid of these people, and I don't look up to them. And so Heart Warrior was cool.
So let's go into some of like the work that you've done over the years. Like you're a publisher, you are doing clothing and fashion, you have been an advocate for free speech for many, many, many years. You've put on music festivals for music. You were one of the first to do podcasting. You have, um, and you've put on these big shows, and now going into the third of the Witch's Sabbath. So, how did? Let's start with some of the publishing. How did you get into publishing?
Hmm. How did I get into publishing? Well, grew up watching my mom read People magazine, and she paid more attention to a magazine than she did to me. And I think that something that sparked it, one of the things. And so I wanted to put out zines. When I came up with the idea to put out a magazine just like she was reading. And so I started telling my friends, I was like, hey, my one friend was like a vegetarian. And I was like, why don't you do an article on vegetarianism? I'll put a flyer and staple them together. And everyone was into different political things. So I tried to get them to write an article about it or write something about it. I would staple it together. And then I found out about the world of fanzines. Like there was a whole world of things called fanzines where people, like if they were a fan of Elvis, they would do a zine on Elvis. I thought I invented the world's first zine. I thought I was the first person to do an independent zine. I was pretty ignorant to the situation. And so, I started there, but it was also like Frank Zappa talking about censorship issues was also the passion I had to want to publish stuff. I saw him on a PMRC debate, and I was like, wow, this guy is so smart, unlike anyone I've ever met, anything I hear in school, my parents. I want to sound like he does because he was so smart. And he was like, a heavy metal album, there, we got to ban these because they're talking because it causes suicide somewhere. And he came out and was real simple about it. Like if this caused suicides, it sold millions of records. You'd have more than one death. You have one person to, oh, you can't talk about life and geez.
It's the words. You could talk about it. It's the word.
It slows up the algorithm. I get it.
Yeah.
It makes it hard to communicate. But anyway,
it really does, and this is why free speech is very important, and being able to have these kind of conversations. But continue.
Yeah, I forget what we were talking about now.
We were talking about how you got into publishing, and that kind of went into one of the next questions.
I started doing my own. It was like an artist thing. I wanted to express myself. I wanted to be heard. I wanted to cause trouble. So I was putting out a zine with like instructions on how to kill yourself, how to make a noose, stuff like that. But because I would probably be thinking about suicide or I was depressed, so I was just expressing myself as an artist. People interpret those things differently. And then it was like going to get pulled out of a couple towns. Some mayors were coming after me. And then I found Mike Diana. He was put in jail for his comic books. And I was like, and we were trading ads at the time. I said, I'll publish your stuff. And then I started publishing other people's work, really dangerous books. Other people consider them dangerous. And so that's how I got into it. And I did that under Michael Hunt Publishing for the longest. I'd still use Michael Hunt Publishing. But I used it as a pen name. I didn't use my real name. And then one of these mayors that was going to pull my zines out of town was like, what kind of coward is this that puts out stuff about killing people, that people unaliving themselves, and isn't going to stand behind his work? And I was like, oh wow, that's okay. I hear that, and I don't want to be called a coward. And I listened to that, and then around the same time, a newspaper, the Chicago Reader, came to me and asked to do a big story on me, but they wanted to do it on me and not the pen name Michael Hunt Publishing. And so I revealed myself because I was getting married at the time and I needed to make a living. So I was like, I met might as well put my name out there. But that's how I got into publishing, just wanting to express myself as an artist.
And doing that, you were one of the first people in the fight for free speech around that time era too.
Yeah.
And so this kind of goes into another thing too, is you and me have talked about this before on free speech. You believe that people should have the right to say what they want to say, but at the same time, you could explain it better. Like, how do you view free speech? Like, was there any limitations to it, or?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not talking about illegal acts on another human being photographed and published. I'm talking about words. And that's another reason I got into publishing. I found the idea of words is probably one of the ultimate manipulations, tools of manipulation. It's very hypnotizing, and people take it very seriously because that's what is used to educate you, is words. Even though we usually communicate through feelings, images, and stuff like that. That's how actual animals communicate. So words are very hypnotizing. I found them to be very powerful as far as manipulation goes. Free speech hasn't been realized. It's an idea, very much like marriage. These are concepts that haven't been realized to the fullest. So free speech, the idea, ultimately when you hear people say, well, you could say anything, but there's consequences to what you say. That's not free speech, actually. If I say something, there should be no consequences to it. I shouldn't be punched. I shouldn't have a horde of people trying to get me out of making a living. The concept of free speech is that you just don't agree with me and you walk away, or you have better words, you have a better argument, and you use those. You use your speech to argue it. And so that concept hasn't been realized in at least in America. People think that people now take free speech as something that incriminates them. And your generation and younger people, you see it all over the art. People are putting masks on left and right when they do bands because they don't want to be incriminated. They don't want to be associated with something that may be unpopular and hurt them. They might get canceled. So they hide. People are hiding now. And I understand that because I went with the pen name, but I also see it as very sad that we as animals should be allowed to express ourselves just like the chipmunks and the owls do, and we're not allowed to because we're afraid we're going to be canceled.
That's some powerful stuff, and that's a great way of looking at it too, is you're seeing it as just like LaVey's philosophy. We're just another animal.
Yeah, we're caging ourselves with fear. We have a fear now. We all are in this electronic cage with the internet where we're afraid of being broadcast on this, but that's not life. And like I said, I'm from Chicago, so Louis Farrakhan is from Chicago. He broadcasts here. Kanye West is from Chicago. I am from Chicago. You will notice Chicagoans are some of the most outspoken people because in Chicago you can say what you want. And people are just going to shrug their shoulders and move on. But like I said, you have to walk with respect around here. You have to be respectful or else. So that's not to say I could go into a certain neighborhood and yell out this stuff. That's not what I'm saying, because I have to be respectful of that neighborhood. But I can sit here in Chicago and say what I think politically and say I'm against that neighborhood. I don't like them. I think they should be washed off the face of the earth. And people here are just going to shrug and go, yeah, he's an idiot. Who cares? Who cares what he says? And so it's a sophisticated culture in Chicago, actually.
That's very interesting. Like, a lot of people, if you're not used to that kind of culture, they probably will never understand it. And especially being on a digital age that we are in now, everyone is focused on being on a social media. Well, these social medias aren't always the freest when it comes to speech. Just like, as everyone has witnessed, we have to be okay with some words, and some words we have to change so algorithms work, because they're trying to sell. They're trying to sell something, and they don't want to be controversial. Speaking of controversy, when you you put out one of the most controversial books that came back from the dead. And that was Might is Right. That book was talked about by presidents, popes, very high ranking people in society, and it sent shivers to them. But that was speech. It's supposed to be shaking and shaking people up and making them feel nervous. How are you going to think? How are you going to react? So when you put out Might is Right back in, what was this, 96?
I think so.
How did you find the book? Because I've been trying to find an original copy. There's no way of finding an original copy.
Well, I've had few original copies float through my hand, the originals, but I had the Lumpanix edition, which was the only person publishing it in the world. Lumpanix was a publisher that published all counterculture, any book that was like hard to get. But they sort of buried it. And so I had a person that is involved in a political group that was serious. It wasn't like calling them a name. They were involved in a hate group. Okay. And they were like, I was doing the Milwaukee Metal Fest at the time, and we're selling ads to everyone. And this group came to us and wanted to take out an ad. And it was really controversial because they are of a hate political group. If that is anyone's I can't say everything on TikTok. And so, and about this, this skin. So that's what they're about. And so they come to this Milwaukee Metal Fest to do an advertisement in the book and give me a lot of money. And I'm like, whoa, what do I do here? Everyone that was a white person on the Metal Fest that was work with says, you can't take the money. The black person doing the cover art said, take the money. Don't make a taboo of them. And the Jewish woman that was the main writer, Dina Weinstein, a DePaul University professor, said, take the money. I was like, Dina, tell me more. And she goes, you don't want to make a taboo of that kind of subject. You just let them out there. Their views are never looked at popular. They're ignorant people. People basically laugh at them. So let them have their say. But when you don't let them have their say, it becomes attractive. It psychologically becomes attractive to people that are, angry and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay. And I took the money, did what Dina said, and caused a big stir. And I liked all that stir. And then the person from that group, when they came down to sit with me, they brought the copy of Might is Right and said, this is our Bible. Well, at the same time, I was dating someone who handed me the Satanic Bible and said, you got to read this. And I had my Goat Gallery in Chicago, and I was selling the Satanic Bible, and I'd breeze through it, but I wasn't taking to it. And so I was reading both at the same time. I go to the young lady I was with at the time and say, hey, this is the same book. And they're like, everyone rips off LaVey. And I go, no, this book's older than LaVey. And so at that point, that's when I would go backtrack. That's when I wrote LaVey and said, I'm going to tell the world about this. Because at that point, when he dedicated the book, his Satanic Bible, to Might is Right, that was in the first edition. That was scrubbed out. You have that?
I do. I have that one right here.
That was scrubbed out of it, the future edition. So people of my generation didn't really understand that. They didn't know what that was. So I was telling a whole different generation about what had happened there.
Right
and so
there.
I wanted to publish it.
Ragnar Red Bears, whose might is right.
Right. So I wanted to tell the world about that because it was like a journalistic discovery for me. I was surprising this person who was really into the occult and didn't know. And the other people I was telling, did you know this is the same book? They would be like, no, it couldn't be. Yeah, it is. So it's similar to it's not the exact same. So I was wanting to publish it to reveal a truth. It wasn't like an endorsement of it. But I find Might is Right hard to argue with in a lot of ways, even though a lot of it's been disproven with science. Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff is the idea of power and stuff like that. It's a book. I don't think it's that great powerful, but it's a book that inspired Anton, among others. I mean, he had books, stacks of books everywhere. And so I published that book without remorse. I had that person that's into this, the color, did the afterword, and Anton did the forward, and I get death threats from that each side. Well, I got death threats from the side of the angry guy, and then I got curses from the Satanists. We're going to curse you for putting this person in the afterword, and the other people, we're going to curse you for putting the Anton LaVey because he's of this religion. He's Jewish, but he's not of that religion. But they would say it because he's of that lineage.
Right.
Hi from Colorado.
Colorado. So this Milwaukee Metal Festival, who was there? Like, what bands did you have come all the way out to Milwaukee of all places?
Oh well, the Milwaukee Metal Fest was incredible. We would do like 30 to 60 bands each weekend, and I eventually that grew into the Expo the Extreme when I did that, where I brought the black metal into the United States for the first time. But the Milwaukee Metal Fest, just great. But okay. A lot of younger people know of the band Death.
Mm-hmm.
The band Death, a death metal band. I saw Death, like Chuck came into the Milwaukee Metal Fest when he was 17 years old and was begging to play it and begging. And he's like, this band's word deserves it. And then we listened to the cassette. It was a cassette. And we're like, this is great. But he's 17. How's he doing this? So they played. King Diamond would play. So it was a cultural event, and it was really cool. And it was right across the street. There was the apartment where Jeffrey Dahmer did some damage.
Ooh.
Right across the street.
No kid.
Yeah, we had Ice-T from Body Count. Body Count played, and I remember Ice-T it was a really cool moment. He was a really cool guy because he was really famous compared to metalheads, metal people. And so he sat down, he came up to the top where the vendors' booths were, sat in a chair to watch the event, and people would come up and get him to sign something. And I remember I tell my younger brother, I'm like, I give him a stack of program books. I'm going, go sit next to Ice-T and have him sign all these. And he did. Ice-T looks at him and goes, yeah, he signs them all.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So, Milwaukee Metal Fest had everyone, every metal band that was happening back then. So, some of my favorites were seeing Carnivore. The band Carnivore from New York. It was Peter Steele's band from Typo Negative. I like seeing them. Death, the younger King Diamond. Those are my favorites. But then I did Expo the Extreme, and I brought Mortis in, one of the first church burners. And,
really?
The black metal people. And then I did Dark Funeral, and I did stuff like that on my own.
Wow.
Yeah, tell me about it. When Mortis was at the airport, he sat there for like 8 hours. They weren't going to let him in because of the reputation black metal had at the time. And so we had to have lawyers there and get him out of, he was locked in a room and all of his stuff and he's being searched. And he loved the event because I had Wesley Willis also playing the event. So it was like black metal and Wesley Willis was there, the Impotent Sea Snake. So it was a mix. It was great. I don't know if anyone knows who Wesley Willis is, but they should look him up. He's a great Chicago artist, one of the best. And he was a good friend of mine.
Wow. Like that's some history right there. So many great artists and just a lot of amazing history. Like a lot of people don't realize how much of a role that black metal actually played in this scene, as far as they were also on the forefront for free speech. Even though it was seen as a bunch of angry people, they were on the forefront of it.
Rightfully angry that was a prophetic art movement. I mean, when they're talking about screaming at the top of their lungs, the world's on fire, we're doomed. Present day, I would say they were prophetic. They were actually right about things. And in the beginning of black metal, people associate that with like hate movements, political hate movements. Euronymous and stuff like that, the people created that were very left-wing. They were more communist. So it wasn't like it's weaponized as today, just because. And see, and that's funny in the Satanic movement. Like I've been maligned because of a word or two I used on a podcast, and I, it blows my mind because, within Satanism, especially back then, we were using words of shock to shock you. We would use these words to get your attention or to upset you or hurt your feelings. to say, you know, and so if you're a Satanist, you should understand that, because you're using the S word, one of the most shocking words to our culture, one of the most upsetting words you could say. Say it in a grocery store. It's going to be the same look you'll get if you said any of the other shocking words you're not supposed to say. Satanism is a real heavy word. It's heavier than that stuff, because if you said a hate word, some people are going to agree with it. Some people go, yeah, I'm on your side. I hate those people too. Say I'm a Satanist and see how many people come, yeah, I'm a Satanist, and come join you in the deli aisle. Or see how many people back away. And we all know that's true. When you wear your bath mat in public, you watch people go back away. So we and there's a hard to say we in Satanism, but Satanists that understand, usually old school Church of Satan people, but I would say mostly Church of Satan people understand this, is that we use words as art almost. A lot of times we'll use it to upset you. We'll use it to shock you. That doesn't mean we endorse it, because no one in Satanism endorses a real Satan, and we definitely don't endorse a Christian Satan. So we've taken that word to upset them, punch them, but we don't endorse it.
No, absolutely. It's all symbolism. It's just, here's this character from a book, and we vibe with it. Like, we like the things that he stands up for. We like the things that he's portrayed as. Or it's not the fact that we're going to worship a fake character. It's all symbolism.
Exactly. And I'm just going to say, Sharon LeVay, you know about Wesley Willis. Rock on, Chicago. Rock over, London. Toyota, or like whatever, like big McDonald's. It's a way, you know, whatever tag. Can you come up with a tagline from an ad? Okay, that's what Wesley would do. Rock, boom, hit you in the head, roll, and headbutt you, and he'd be all wet. So I'd have dates with me. I would go hang out with Wesley, and then he'd just grab this petite girl, and they'd be like, oh, because Wesley is like 7 foot, 5,000 pounds, just a huge fucking monster. And he has schizophrenia. He's schizophrenic, legitimately. So he's scary. He's the kindest bear. And he's just like, he grabbed by the back head and go, say rock, poof, say roll, poof, and headbutt kindly. And they'd be all sweaty because he'd be getting but that's what they like. Look at Sharon. Sharon loves, she knows what's up. That's counterculture, baby. Wesley Willis is a god. Wesley was like, he would be like a rock on, Chicago, rock over, London. Nike, just do it. And that's how he would do things. He would just all of a sudden recite a line off of TV, and he'd be like, what was that? Rice-A-Roni, the San Franciscan treat. And I was like, oh, Wesley, I love you, man.
Oh, I love people like that.
So Wesley was in a community called Wicker Park, Chicago. Now, that's a little Schaumburg now. It's like a little suburb. It's all rich people took it over. But it was a real dangerous neighborhood. And it was full of artists because we could afford to live there. And so when you went outside at night, you'd have streetwalkers, and you'd have people that would protect streetwalkers, and you get stabbed there. You get hurt. So in order to leave our building, a lot of times we'd have gangsters outside the doors. You couldn't leave the art building because they'll hurt you. So we had to dump like bricks of concrete on their head, or drop a garbage can off the top of the building to move the people that are gonna hurt you out of the way. And Wesley would come into that neighborhood and set up his table with all of his artwork, and set up his organ and play that thing. And it was just like play his music and everyone just passed. You put a cup out there and you put money in it. And it was the greatest thing, because, you know, I knew Wesley in that moment before he became famous. He was just one of the artists in that community, one of the freaks. And when I say freak, I say that with love, respect. If I say that, that's all with love. And so Wesley, you know, I miss him. Oh, Wesley Willis. I remember one time I'm on a trip, and I have my buddy watching my apartment, and he's hanging out with Wesley. And so they were crawling in my back window. He left the back window open because he lost the key. So he's crawling in there to check things out. And he came there one night with Wesley. So he's pushing Wesley Willis through my back window, and I'm hearing noises in my bedroom. He didn't know I got back early from his flight. I'm out of bed, I'm naked. I sleep in a nude. It's good. You should all do that. And I come out naked, and there's Wesley Willis. I'm like, scream my head off, because and Wesley's like, you know, I forget what he said, like, you know, rock, roll, you know, holy moly, it was crazy. Yes, Sharon, I did. I had a bunch of Wesley's art. Had a bunch of Wesley's art. Wesley would give me art all the time and give it to me, like just give it to me because he would leave it in my apartment because I would do something like because he was a street artist and he was we were poor people, poor artists. So like if we went out, I'd be like, I got your meal, Willis. I got we go to McDonald's or Rock and Roll McDonald's. Rock and Roll McDonald's. We go to Rock and Roll McDonald's. It was this McDonald's in Chicago that had all this rock and roll memorabilia. And he has a song about it. I would look that song up. It's great. But we would go there and I'd buy him his meal. And the next thing I know, he'd bring a piece of artwork by for me. Oh, yeah, I had a bunch of his artwork. And when he passed away, I sold it because it went for a high value. Yeah.
Now, do you still have a single piece from him?
No, after you get run out of town 17 million times, you lose everything that you've ever had. So I've had everything taken from me 15, 16 times by now. I'm a minimalist now and I don't want anything. I'm not going to have anything taken from me. So you give me something of value, I'm going to sell it.
Well, and here's other things. You were a sculptor. You still do sculptures. You just finished one recently, too.
Oh, 1 second.
Oh, gosh. He's got it.
Okay. You want to talk about that? I got this one here I'm working on. It's so off, but I'll show it to you a little bit. These are all like statues of liberties. And then this is like what I pick up around the Chicago. And artwork is about making markings, okay? But it's also about documenting where you're from. And when I lived on the beach, I would put shells in my artwork. And these are all upside down at Liberty, you know. And I'm using, so there's these coils on there, these nice coils. Yeah, this is a baby I'm working on right now.
And so that's more of places that you've been, you grew up, and you lived at.
Yeah. But I think every art, if the art is true, it's representing it where it's at. You're representing your feet are in the ground, on the ground, and you're whether you consciously do it or subconsciously do it, you're going to talk about your surroundings. Some people do it overtly, like I was sharing with you some of the trap music that I love from Chicago, from Little Dirk and some of his crew, the Old Block crew, and I really think they're great poets, Chicago poets. But when they because I live here, so what I hear them is not shocking to me. I'm like, they're telling the news. They're telling like stories from where they're at, and I appreciate that honesty.
So that's another one. Music in Chicago. How is Chicago music different from anywhere else?
Same as I told you, or else. We're cool people. We're approachable people. You come to Chicago, Buddy Guy runs Buddy Guy's Legends. This guy's 17 million years old at this point. He's like I am to you, a zillion years. We're with 40 years difference or whatever. Just crazy talk. I used to do a newspaper called Chicago at Night. I'd deliver it, and Buddy Guy was right there at the door. Like opening his door. He'd take the newspapers. I got these. I'll put them out. That's the guy who opened up for the Rolling Stones. That's the guy the Rolling Stones worship. They would come to Chicago and like, that's our God. So you have blues artists in Chicago that were just straight up cool. We're cool people. But he's the wickedest guitarist. He's cool. So, but Chicago artists, okay, and that's in a good way. We're tough. There's a reality to our. There's like when I talk about Satanism. There's a difference between Satanism and like Satanic Temple Satanism or other baloney. It's like we're realistic, and a lot of that stuff's idealistic. As a poet and as an artist, I'm idealistic, but as a Satanist, I'm realistic. And I deal with reality. And Chicago artists deal with reality because we have to. We're on the street. We deal with. You get shot, you will get killed here. There's no doubt about that. I can't say the simple words. This kills me. Yeah. Well, how can you explain Chicago without those words? I have no idea.
Unalive is the term.
Yeah, a Styx. I get it. All that. Everyone's Chicago's serious. But like I said, it's respectful. No one wants that. No one brings it. Like they say, you don't want none, don't bring none. Mm-hmm. And so I think a lot of great art really, like you look at Kanye, he's a Chicago artist. and he has the courage to say exactly what he wants to say without care of what's going to happen to him, because he's going to say what he has to say, just like every Chicagoan's going to have their say. And Kanye is a great example of a Chicago artist. I think he's one of the greatest artists around. And but I've studied him now for a year. It took a year to listen to him because everyone said he was so controversial. He called them all his names. I listened to it. I'm like, well, he's obviously not. When you look at his lyrics, you read it. He said he's done the satanic thing. He said words to upset people, to shock things, to get a conversation going. And literally burned $8 billion to do it. That's a Chicago artist. Like, I don't give a fuck. Take it. So you're unaliving me here, brother. Yeah, thank you. So that's a Chicago artist, I think. And here's the bad part about Chicago artists is we're very much factory mentality. So it's got to be we got to do 1,000 of them. We got to do prints. I got to do books. It's got to be mass produced, because that's what we do here.
No, absolutely.
We're big.
I don't get to see that very often, being in the sleepy house of Northern Nevada. So being able to have that fast pace is something I absolutely love and enjoy.
Anton LaVey was a Chicagoan. He was born here. Okay, this is his town. Chicagoans usually are as big as the buildings here. We're big. We do it. And you talk about Chicago art. One of the things that influenced me as a child was the Picasso we have downtown. So we have a sophisticated culture. We have a huge Picasso downtown at the Daly Center. And I remember as a child, that Picasso was being put up, and it was controversy on the news. I was a child, like 6, 8 years old, 9 years old. And I just remember people debating how horrible it was. How can we spend money on this? How great it was. And I was like, I want in on that controversy. I want to be seen. That was like, I want to be an artist, I think. And I remember climbing that thing when I was a kid, like climbing that thing. I want to do this. This is the coolest thing, And so that, I think there's something about Chicago artists with that brutal honesty. We are brutally honest, and to a point of irritation for other people. I know I've met many people around the country like, oh, you're from Chicago. I hate Chicagoans because I was in the Navy, and any Chicagoan out there got a big mouth. I mean, and I say, you mean you're afraid to say something? We're not. We don't have the fear like you.
That's exactly what my dad would say when he was living in Chicago.
What? They're jerks?
No, that they speak their mind.
That's right. And because we understand, we're going to speak our mind, and we face, like I said, there's a threat of danger here. There's a threat of that unaliving happening. But as long as you're respectful, people respect that you want to have your say. So like even in a situation where you're at a coffee shop and someone's spouting something, people just let it go and let it roll. No one's going to speak up to the person, and not only because they're not afraid, they don't have time for it. It's not because they're afraid, but they respect that person's space. But let that person go too far, and they're going to find out. Like you say, that F around, you're going to find out here real quick. And there's another thing I've seen about Chicago. Like if you're at a bus stop and someone's picking on you, and you don't say nothing to them, no one's going to butt in. You're going to get picked on. But if the little old lady goes, leave me alone, everyone will turn and go, leave her alone. Like all of a sudden you have 12 people put their, go. And they're ready for it. But the person. It's
like a high school cafeteria.
Well, yeah, but you have to say something, because you will see people get smacked down, beaten up, if they don't say something, You lost me at Yee. Bye. Goodbye. Oh, God. You lost me at an opinion.
Whatever. People come, people go.
Yeah, because that's become like there's people that are on a trip that everything's a dog whistle. No one wants to understand. Like in Satanism, you would ask, well, why do you like? Why is that? Why? You would ask questions and understand it. Try to explain yourself. You're not going to go, oh, he said Kanye, it's a dog. He's saying free speech. It's a dog whistle. We're going to run away. Run the fuck backwards. That is dangerous. They're right. Art is dangerous and free speech is dangerous, and they should go cower at wherever they go. Go, go, go. You don't belong here.
Mwah. No, I literally, it is that mentality, and I don't have time for it. I'm living my life. I'm going to do what I want. If you don't want part of it, well, there's the goddamn door. Don't let it hit you on your way out.
Yeah, right. Or have a reasonable conversation about it. Like, say, what's going on with you, dude? Why'd you say that? Did you think it might hurt people's feelings? Or have a conversation. If you want to make headway with someone, then use the speech that you're so offended by. Speak back to have better speech.
Yeah.
Or run from speech. You go, oh, I'm going to turn Kanye off the radio. That guy's incredible, incredible. And they don't realize, like, as an artist, he's representing his core audience. He's representing his city. Farrakhan comes from this city. Farrakhan is a hater. And Kanye is not saying anything different than so many people in hip hop. Public Enemy, when they came out, was saying the same thing as Kanye is. But Public Enemy today is held as politically correct heroes. I love Chuck D. I'm a fan of Public Enemy, but I know what they did in the beginning because I was there. And I watched them say it, and I watched the Minister of Propaganda say it. Same stuff Kanye's saying, same exact stuff. But they had to reel it in, same as Kanye did, because the money stopped. And so it's like, that's a real issue in that community, that conversation should be brought to the table. But people keep going, oh, you should not say that. No, actually, you should say actually more. Say all of it. Why would you want someone that's a hater to go hide themselves and go underground? Don't you want to know who these people are? If they're really a threat? If they really have views that are like going to upset the whole of society? Like, I want to know, actually. Don't hide. I want you put a t-shirt on, as a matter of fact. Tell me.
Speaking of t-shirts, they could probably buy a t-shirt from you or some sort of clothing fashion, right?
What was that?
They could probably buy a piece of clothing or something with that. With that, I was trying to go into the saying that you do make clothing. You've been trying this new clothing art, like some of your screen prints.
I do. Watch this.
Holy cow, those pants.
Oh, what the fuck? 1 second. I got to go talk to someone. Hold on.
Oh, with that, we've already hit over 90 minutes, so this has just been absolutely incredible, and I'm glad that I still get the time to be able to talk to someone like Shane. It's absolutely incredible. I keep having to look over because usually I'm not home at this time and my scorpion is sitting up crawling on the screen. I'm like, the bug okay?
Oh, there we are.
All right, let's see this. Look at that.
Oh, you guys see my pants?
I said that when you were walking back there. I'm like, oh goodness, look at those pants.
I make these nice scarves.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love this stuff. I love making.
So what are you using as far as the scarf material? Is that fake fur, real fur, suede?
It is fake fur. But I stitch all this stuff.
Wow. Oh, that's incredible. And I gotta say, with the patience when it comes to sewing, I just don't have it. I just grab some dental floss and a needle and just start stitching.
Yeah, when I was your age, I wouldn't have had it either. Wouldn't have had the patience either. I'm older. Fabric art took to me. I was like I was watching people make quilts. I went to a quilt show. I was doing video. I've done like 1,000 interviews, short videos, stuff like that. And I was doing one at a quilt show because I was so interested in people that were putting so much time into making quilts. And I was like, I want to do this. And so eventually, like I got older, I was like, I want to play with fabric art. It's just different. It hits different. But I see everything as like sculpture. So it's all layers, building layers, stuff like that. So I wish I could show you more.
So are you planning on making a store with some of this stuff, or nice? You're gonna wear that when you come out to Nevada?
Yes, maybe. I would love to make a store at some point. Oh, wait, let me put this one on.
It's a rhinestone cowboy. No, that's so.
This is a riff off of Gucci. This is Gucci stuff. Look at those sides split.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah.
So do you wear these when you go on your walks?
What'd you say?
You wear these jackets when you go out on your walks?
No. You kidding me? I'm in Chicago.
How does the neighbor see with a giant red upside down cross?
Well, like I said, it's Chicago. They're not going to really care.
That's so cool. I'm loving the sun design. The sun design is really cool.
This one here, I wore to a party, and I walk out, and this kid comes up and goes, you think you're leaving that party with that jacket? It was coming from me.
Oh, boy. That's how you know people really want it. It's amazing.
One more.
Okay. Oh, that's so cool. I like that.
You asked, so.
Well, there you go, guys. A little fashion show with the infamous Shane. No, and I love it. And that's actually kind of going to steer us into another thing. You said that you're making some special pieces for this year's, which is Sabbath. So how can people come and see these in person when they do come to the Sabbath?
Ooh. Well, they have to be there. How do they see it in person being there? I'm hoping to make the robes for the ritual. But that depends on my mental state. If I get depressed, it slows me down. And I try to work that stuff out. But the way it is, I can't. It's hard for me to promise a lot of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to make the robes, and I'm working with the artist that did the artwork for the book, Nick Gernert. I don't know how to say his last name, but Nikgernert. And some of the designs he used for the artwork, the robes that are in the artwork, like the snake and stuff like that, he's drawn, and I'm going to make fabric out of it, and then stitch that into robes. That's the plan. And the robes will probably be pink or blue or something different than black.
Some orange, some yellows.
Yeah, we got to switch it up.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for saying very cool artwork. Thank you very much. That's very nice.
What was that? There was a line out of your book. A Satanist could walk around in a canary yellow suit.
Oof. Well, that's Al Capone. So yeah, where that comes from is, all the pictures of Al Capone are in black and white. Now, I did a book with Helmer, I forget his name, but he was the editor of Playboy, and I helped him with a comic book on Capone that he wanted to do. And so he's like, Capone's got to be in a canary yellow suit. And I was like, why is that? He's like, Capone would go around Chicago in a canary yellow suit. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, everyone else is in brown, stuff like that. He would always wear canary yellow. If you, of course, if you dared said something to him, you'd go right in the face. So no one would say anything to Capone. And Capone had this phrase. I remember putting on a T-shirt when I did this newspaper called Chicago at Night. It's called, "You get a lot more done with a kind word and a pew pew than you do with a kind word." Look at TikTok is disciplining me, managing me, training me like a dog. Pew pew.
Oh, I know this app can be quite a headache. With that, again, how does someone get to the Witches Sabbath? Like, we're hosting it in LA this year. You gotta know someone to be able to get a ticket. Tickets are coming on sale when?
March 6th. Tickets will be on sale March 6th. And they will be $16.66 on March 6th. After that, they go up to $30. And if we take them off sale, they'll be $50 at the door. And so I suggest March 6th getting the ticket. And you can go to the Facebook event page. You can go to Baphomet X. It'll have our information there. That's Sharon LeVay's website. You can go to Witches Sabbath Gathering and Instagram and find out information there. And there's, like I said, you find Sharon LeVay on Facebook, and there's an event page for this event somewhere. I don't know how to find that, but I'll link it. I'll make sure to link tonight in the Instagram Witches Sabbath Gathering. So there you go.
And this will also be posted on the Reno Satanic pages as well. I will definitely do my part to get that information out there and help people come to the Witches Sabbath. It's a celebration. This is our Christmas. This is our major holiday.
Yeah, I think it's important to establish it. I think I said that earlier. It's important. I don't know if I said that earlier. Did you ask me about why I started this thing?
Yeah, why? Go into that. Why did you start the Witches Sabbath?
I know it was in your list of questions. I don't know if you asked it yet.
No, it is in there. How did the first Sabbath happen? When did the second one happen? And how can people come to the third one?
Well, the first one happened. I left everything I loved and came out here and started thinking about, Christmas and how Walpurgis should be treated like Christmas. And so, I mean, respected like a holiday.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started doing it. But I recruit the artists and stuff that'll be there. Sharon and I do at this point where she's partnering up with me on it. And so we recruit the artists because it's important to have an energy at the event, not just an event. And it's important to do it on the day. So this year it's Tuesday and Wednesday. And I'm really excited about it, but there's not a lot I can say on TikTok about it because of all the words that'll mess us up. But there's going to be a red bath, like if you were to cut yourself, that red stuff. It's a bath. There's rain, like the Slayer song, raining. It's going to rain down on burlesque dancers. But they're there. I can't. What am I going to say? It's an adult event, and it's good that I can't talk about it too much on here because it is everything that you would imagine. And I know Sharon is conducting a satanic ritual. That's what we're doing the robes for. There's a great DJ called DJ Witch House, and he's sort of orchestrating the bands. There's not too many bands, but the bands will play very short sets because not everyone likes bands. So it's not going to be 2 hours of bands. They'll play 10 or 15 minutes. A DJ will take over. So it's going to move real fast pacing.
So with the second Witches Sabbath, that was the one where you had Carla there, right?
No, the first one was where I had Carla. The first one was in Chicago, and it was really great. We were taking mushrooms, playing grab ass, great act, trap metal, just really great time. And then towards the end, 18 squad cars show up and 2 police helicopters, and that was a pretty good accomplishment. At my age, like when I was younger, that would happen all the time. The cops would come and give us beef, love it. So I'm wondering, can I even bring in kind of attention? Can I do anything here? We do it, and I'm like, yeah, this is great, okay. And not only that, the Domestic Terrorism Task Force was there, and I was like, wow, this is whoa. And the first one was so diverse, it was incredible to me, and it was incredible to everyone there because it was like, wow, there's every race. There's every generation. There was 85-year-olds to 18-year-olds. There's every gender. It was really wild. I had never seen a crowd like that before. And so what it says is, like we do Witches Sabbaths, it's non-denominational, even though it's run by Satanists. We're non-denominational. And so, I guess we're everywhere is what I'm saying. When it's very diverse and you invite all the witches, you see everyone, every kind of person. And it's really cool. It's really powerful.
That's exactly the
Do we sacrifice animals? Can we say the word P-U-S-S-Y? Because we do sacrifice a few of those. I'll be sacrificing a few of those. I think there's going to be a live P-U-S-S-Y ritual. You want to come by?
Oh, shoot. So with the new book, is there anything that you want to talk about as far as topics that we didn't get to cover yet?
You wanted me to read the first introduction I did.
Yeah, because I actually have this one, and you have in here as well of what you describe Satanism as well.
Is this the one Anton LaVey was an artist? Where's the introduction? Which one?
This was on page 148.
Oh, wow. 148. That's not an introduction.
Well, no, it's not the introduction, but that's where by Shane Bugbee, Satanism.
Okay.
So
Satanism is all too often seen as a mere variant of desire and hedonism. Satanism also, let me look good, at least a little bit. Satanism also grows rife with religious thinking. Online preachers often answer to questions only the individual can answer. Satanism is an existential project, a constantly unfolding quest for truth. This quest begins with a curiosity beyond what is taught through parents and school. This quest is an event that forever changes an individual, challenging them to see the world from the point of view of all rather than one. This, I believe, is Satanism's most essential transforming power. Satanism is a philosophy and not a religion. Religion is where thought goes to die. Religion is static. It is something of rules and something you can nail to the wall, unlike the Satanist, a creature born who you cannot be stuck to the walls. Religion is for those who need direction and rules, very antithetical to the nature of Satanism. In general, Satanism is the pure pursuit of knowledge, secret knowledge, the knowledge and ideas most are afraid to discuss. The Satanist cultivates the dangerous mind, curious and free. As we enter the age of undoing, let us rethink the philosophies of the past. Let us be bold and add to them in the public realm. Let your ideas be challenged and torn to shreds. What survives moves forward, and what doesn't lies dead as a valiant effort of thought and evolution. As my friend of me, Stanton LaVey, once said to me as we discussed the merits of Satanism and as a philosophy and the pitfalls of Satanism becoming an actual religion, and this was what Stanton would say, Satanism might just be the birth of all that modern philosophy aspires to be.
Oh, man. Like, I hear the poetry out of that, and that just hits it on the nail on the head.
Thank you. I wish I could have read it better. But the new book has that in there still. I just have it. I have a different.
It's the introduction that changed.
Yeah. I put a different introduction. Did I put an introduction in this book? What the fuck?
Let's see here.
I didn't write. I did not write one. I talked about Anton LaVey. Anton LaVey was an artist. Make no mistake about it. That is no longer in this new version.
Cool. That's a cool little piece of writing that's not in the new one.
It is not. That is not in the new one. But the new one is this a lot thicker. It's a lot bigger, a lot more pages, a lot added to it. I'm proud of this one. The other one had a lot of typos. Like I said, really bad typos, really bad. Like, like if there's a typo with a punctuation or spelling doesn't bother me when it's an interview like with Peter Gilmore and a sentence is wrong and he didn't say that. Those really upset me. And so the older version has a lot of that. My bad that I let it go because I trusted the editor. And, this one has my stamp of approval.
Absolutely. So, what was that one you read on that podcast earlier? Because that when I was listening to that, and it was just so poetic.
What was it? What did I say? Tell me some words.
It was one of the. I think it was the introduction out of what you were going to read.
Does it say start with I lie, cheat, or steal?
Yes.
Oh, that's the introduction from this one. I'll read that. I'll
Yeah.
try. I wish I would have read it. I wish I would have been prepared for this. I lie, I cheat, I steal, and I hurt others. I'm a Satanist. What did you expect? I should add, you also lie, cheat, steal, and hurt others. How could you not? It's the way of the world that we exist in. Satanism isn't idealistic, it's realistic. Idealism is for religions, poets, politicians, and swindlers. Satanism is a philosophy that is fluid and erodes constructs. Satanists might shun the religious minded, unless they are of use, of course. Seldom is there a we in Satanism, but there is when speaking for a philosophy in general terms. When I speak about Satanism, it is with authority, the authority earned and awarded to me by Dr. Anton LaVey, author of the Satanic Bible and the creator of modern Satanism. We are certainly not a philosophy of joiners, no matter how much spin a rich kid and his satanic puppet put on the philosophy of Satanism. We are, however, a pleasure-seeking intellectual horde who struggles to understand the difference between personal power and the illusion that great magicians create of power that most are tricked into climbing. Satanists do not climb power. Satanists do not seek power. Satanists do not fall for the illusion of power. We are power. We are the creators of the illusions of power, from politicians to soda pop. Satanists seem to be able to trick you at your own game again and again. The Satanic philosophy is a mirror to the world in which we live in. The Satanist sees the big picture in a universal Carl Sagan pale blue dot kind of way. There isn't a good or evil within Satanism. There only is and do. Doogie is a Satanist, probably the only one involved with the Satanic Temple. Doogie is also considered a Judas goat. He is desperate and a danger because of that desperation, spinning stories for money, not for progress, working for a glorified law firm called the Satanic Temple, and as a tour guide for the Chamber of Commerce of the sleepy Hollywood town of Salem, Massachusetts. I stopped liking Doug when he suggested we turn people against one another. To what end, I thought. I can only imagine. Much like a child, Doogie is looking to see how far his power can go and, with sadistic intent, angry at the world that took his eye. Satanism isn't a bully pulpit. Satanism isn't a tool for the bully or the politician. It's a Satanist that proclaims they are the wolf that should be treated as a dog that they proclaim to be. By the way, I treat dogs with love, warmth, and meet their needs. Beware of those, I hate that one line, but anyway, beware of those who only know tooth and claw. They are corrupt and of the past. Satanism is pleasure-seeking with an intellectual base. War is for the ignorant. Satanism is there to capture your imagination. Living out another's imagination is the antithesis of Satanism. When the Satanic Temple was created, we used the word religion because it's a word of authority. Remember that. If you're attracted to religion, you're probably into lording authority over others or into having authority lorded over you. And the religious only have to agree with their chosen religion to be granted the mystical authority of a god or a deity by that chosen religion. This kind of foolery is most attractive to the poor and downtrodden. Don't be fooled by the religious zealots who claim peace, love, and freedom as they spout their religious beliefs. Satanists will forever be the adversary to those who might want to believe or to follow. Religion is where rules are given and thought goes to die. As religion dies a nasty death, Satanism is alive and well. We must enter the age of undoing individually and with thought, imagination, and intelligent actions. But of course, I could be lying.
See, I love that ending. That ending is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
It was really good. I enjoyed that a lot.
It's really hard to read things out loud. It's easy to publish things, put them out there, not ever hear a critique, good or bad. But it's great to hear good, a nice, I should say, a cool comment. because I hear so much awful stuff. So I'll thank you for that.
Well, you got to remember these kind of things that most people find shocking or upsetting or obscene. There's always going to be the people who enjoy those types of things to learn from, either question and having that fantasy written out in a book instead of actually portraying it into the real world. And when art is art, artists see it.
Full moon has risen, Sharon says. Is it full moon? It's good.
Yes, Saturday is the full moon.
Oh, you did this on purpose on a full moon?
Yes, I did.
You need the book? Donald, great. Hey, I'll tell you what. Anyone, this book is like $100. This collector's one. Anyone who buys that book, I'll give you one of these too. Very nice.
That's
And I sell these for as much as I sell that book for. So this is at lulu.com. But you can always contact me and I'll sell you one. And you can get this too. But only right now, only this next 24 hours.
Yeah, within the next 24 hours. Hit up Shane.
And
I don't even have one of these cool keychains.
I'll send you one of these too.
Actually, I got one.
These are all different. Yeah, well, let's see yours. Let's see yours. I want to see it. Pull it off there. Let's put it in the camera.
Mine's number one. I got the number.
It is? Wow. Really?
Yes, I did.
I'll tell you, that was not on purpose. You know what I do with these when they're numbered? I just shuffle them up and stick them in envelopes, and people get whatever number they get. I'd never give anyone preferential treatment on that. So wow. That's cool.
It was his goat, Mr. Krabs. He was number one.
Demi, I'll take a copy. Come on by. I got a Venmo. Hit me up, Shane Bugbee at Venmo. I definitely anyone who mentions Damien in the next 24 hours in the show, if you buy direct from me, I'll not only give you that, I'll stuff an envelope. Look at this. An envelope with the old cover on it. I'll stuff that full, like a T-shirt, stickers, patches. You'll get a really cool thing.
Yes. The patches were actually great quality. I'm still needing to stitch mine on my jacket here. I don't have that big one. I don't have the big one. I have the one with the runes around it.
Oh yeah, I got those around here somewhere. Anyway, you'll be happy. You info.
Yeah.
Shane Bugbee at Twitter. You can find me there. It's an easy place to direct message, I think. Shane Bugbee at gmail.com is my email address. You can hit me up there. Michael, I'm publishing on Instagram. Damien knows how to get a hold of me. So we can do this.
Absolutely. And yeah, now that the new book is out there, it's not the book that I have, and this is the book that I've been pushing on people, is saying, hey, you should go get a copy of this one. Hey, you should go get a copy of this. Now you have the opportunity to get the newest one, and it comes with more information and better quality.
Way better. It's the real one. You got the mock copy, and I think I sent a note out when I sent those saying it was and that's common in publishing. A lot of publishers will publish a book in a small quantity to see how it feels, and then they pull back and publish it in a bigger distribution. And that's why I waited to put it on Amazon until I was happy with how it read. So I'm really proud of this one. I'm really proud of this because it's so beyond the Satanic Temple. Like I said, Carla, it's so beyond that. That's a chunk, and it just sort of slaps them around and tells you, it's like basically the idea is like, why would they lie about this stuff? Like, this is the factual history of it. Why would they lie about that beginning? Is I still don't get it. Maybe you do. I have no idea why they would lie about that stuff. I guess I have a guess. I think Kevin is a very insecure person. And when rich people buy their way into a culture, they're always going to have that kind of insecurity. Like, let's hide the real counterculture person. Let's not talk about them. All right, Damien's left. Let's talk about him. Let's see some. Oh, he's back.
I'm still here. I was just grabbing something here. A lot of people want to say that this is the history of the Satanic Temple. I'll speak of the devil. No, it's not.
I got to harass their publisher, actually, that publisher of that book, and that writer. I got to say, here's all the information missing out of your book. I had to do a whole almost 400-page book about it. This is, and your right. And your author's a hack, a liar, and a propagandist. So anything that guy puts out, any book that person puts out, should be held in contempt because of they're a liar. They left information out. They literally promoted propaganda, and so you understand that's like Ivy League rich kid stuff. They got connections in powerful places, and it's like they say the victor writes history. The people with money write history, but not right now. We have this. Poor scrubs have a way to publish. We have a way to communicate. We can do this. We can do this. And we can fight back by publishing books, by doing podcasts, by doing this stuff. And so it's a good time because back in my day when I was younger, you had to ask to be in a newspaper and you had to try to be on TV. And that's where Anton LaVey grew out of. It's like the Black Panther movement, the hippie movement. And him, TV was new at the time. And they're like, if we can just do something weird and get on TV and do this dance, then we can say, LaVey was like, look, I'm a devil. And they're like, what are you about? Tax the church. Tax the church. Black Panthers, they're walking down the street with shotguns, freaking people out. What are you about? Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. They were able to say their stuff on the TV and no one else was saying it. So, it's important to take advantage of those moments before the rich kids get involved and put cages on them. And right now you have a moment with AI to shake things up before they get real control over it.
Oh, yes. Oh, definitely.
So use AI to cause some conversations.
Well, I think we covered most of the book. Is there anything else you want to say? Come to the Witch's Sabbath. It's in LA this year, and this is our Christmas. This is our major holiday. Don't wait for the weekend for these kind of holidays. Do the holiday. You are the holiday. So come to the Witch's Sabbath.
What I'd like to say is the picture that floats around on the internet with me, Doug, and Kevin. I'm very big in that picture. I'm very round. I've lost a lot of weight. I'm a very sexy man right now, and I'm available. I just broke up with my girlfriend. So that's what I'd like to say. So, Valentine's cards, that's all I got to say. Come to the Witch's Sabbath and let's have fun. All I can tell you is the Witch's Sabbath. That's what all the hip hop artists do. They go, you gotta love this. It's not Slayer without Jeff and the drummer. It's not really. I'm not that guy. I saw that band when they started. So you got to understand every variation of that is watered down. So when you who's this, Donald? I don't know how old are you, but when you're looking at people at a younger age and they're performing, wait until they get old. You'll be like, oof, no, we don't want to see. I want to remember you how you were. Same time, sometimes you go to a funeral and the person had cancer. I've had some friends get cancer, and it's like, I'm going to try to remember you the way you were.
See, that's exactly how it was. I got to go see Dead Kennedys, and holy cow, these guys were so old, and everything I look at, they're so young.
Donald just said that he saw Slayer with Hella Weights at the Aragon Ballroom. I was there, and it was brutal, and you left with bruises. Chairs flew in the air, things were on fire, people cutting themselves. Ain't no joke. Slayer were dangerous concerts. That's why I can't even believe they're going to be at Riot Fest. It's like a joke because no one would have booked Slayer for a show like that because the venue'd be destroyed. Yeah. Destroyed. I think they're like, all their fans are 55. You just wait. At the Riot Fest, all those 55-year-old people are still angry, and you're going to see grandpas lighting trees on fire.
Oh, great. Now I'm going to see that on the news. Old grandpa lights tree on fire at Slayer concert.
Truth.
I'm here for it. I'm absolutely for it.
I hope to see you all at the Witch's Sabbath in Los Angeles. We'll have a great time. I assure you of that. And if you can't make it there, I encourage you to take the day off of work if you're a Satanist and enjoy the day. Do a barbecue with your friends. Enjoy, Enjoy.
It's our Christmas.
Yeah,
What a lot of people, I get it. A lot of people don't even know what Walpurgis is. That's the day Satanists see as the day Satanism was born.
truth.
That
And,
is the day. That
and
is
it,
our Christmas. That is our major holiday other than one's own birthday.
yeah, truth. I'm excited about it. I know I know it's just a fun time. And so when you talk about me sculpting this event, that's the one thing it's got to be not like an event. It has to be a really good time. So I talk to the bands about how can we make this fun? How can we, we have to shorten your set because not everyone wants to be hammered for 30, 40 minutes with you. How about 10 minutes? Do this, some dance, some rituals, some burlesque. Let's move things fast paced. Let's try to have fun. And so that's what it's about.
Absolutely. Because that's what all Satanism is. It's about having fun and enjoying life. You
Yeah,
got to live it to the fullest.
right. And it's about being respectful of others, and if they, and they being respectful to you, or else. It's about you got to remember the or else.
There you go.
You got to remember the or else. When someone steps on you, you step back.
What was it? It was another passage. Satanists don't live deliciously; they live couragefully and
That's right.
dangerously.
That's right. We don't live deliciously. That's for TV people. That's for young kids that grew up watching witchcraft on Channel 5 and thinking they can make things fly through the air with lighting a candle. They live deliciously.
Oh, well, this has been an absolute blast. Is there anything else you want to mention?
You
You
made me
good on
smile.
time?
I really enjoyed talking to you, Damien. That's what I like. And I hope that we're going to work together for a long time to come. I really like working with you on projects. Damien and myself are working on a project together. And depending on how that goes, we may do more. Um, I'm
Oh,
also doing, what?
many ideas of many books I want to bring back from the dead.
I love it. And we're going to do that. I'm doing a zine with Claudia Berdella, the young person who helped me with this book. And that should be out by Walpurgis. And our project should be out by Walpurgis. So Walpurgis is going to be a real big deal for us publishing and putting out more words.
Absolutely. Words scare people, and there's not a word more scarier to most people than the dreaded S word.
That's right. And remember, words hypnotize people. Words are respected by people. So if you can sculpt those words, I don't call myself a writer. I call myself a sculptor of words. I use words to entice, to excite, to move people. You can move them. Look at the politicians. They move people like blades of grass with words. And if it's written in a book and not just digital, it'll be remembered far past your life. So that's a
Yeah,
big deal. Your kids, if you have kids, they might not always talk good about you when you're in the grave, but your books will stand tall.
absolutely. Just look at LeVay. We're
And
talking about LeVay 50 years
that's right.
later.
And that's the thing about being a Satanist. We just don't hang out and we make stuff. We're cool. We have hobbies, or we do art, or we create music. We create. We're creatives. We're artists or creatives. We're proud of what we create. People look at us as destructive, and they're correct. We can be very dangerous and destructive. So don't push us. Take our beauty or take our violence and ugliness. But we're extreme. That's what I would say. Yeah, we are wolves among sheep, I suppose you could say. I like to be I like to be more of a swallow. I would like to be a swallow. They fly so fast they could just run around. I like swallows. People like I want to be an eagle. Eagles can't catch a swallow. And swallows fly all around the world with barely any. It's so cool. They're funny. If I was reincarnated, I want to be a swallow. That's all I'm saying. If there's such thing as reincarnation, not that I believe in that, but it's a cool concept. As
I
long
would,
as I'm not reincarnated like Laurel and Hardy into a cow.
yeah, if I have to say anything on the concept, it's, yeah, I don't believe in it either, but I would love to be an owl.
Yeah, I don't believe. I don't have to believe. I'm not a believer. I'm a realist, like we talk about. I'm a realist, not idealistic, but I'm still a poet and an artist. So I like to dream. Oh, wouldn't it be cool? Like peace and love. Wouldn't it be cool? The concept is great. It's a great sales point too. And I wish love was the law. I wish love did change things. As a poet and artist, I believe it might, but as a Satanist, I can't see it as a reality.
Right.
Owls are cool. I lived by a place where owls would eat cats at night, and it was right way like you'd hear these cats scream, "Ah!" And you'd look, owls jump down on them.
Poor cats.
I guess you could look at it that way. It did sound. It was quick. It was,
Well, that's one of the things. I would love to be reincarnated as an owl because no one would ever see me coming.
that's true. They're big too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, they are.
Guess the other animal I really love, I think, is beautiful, is elephants. They're so smart.
Or every time I look over, my scorpion is active. I don't really get to see my scorpion active because I'm usually at work at this time. And it's just fascinating. I love animals, all big, small. And that's one thing with Satanists. We love nature. We love animals because we see ourselves as just another one of them.
Sharon's got goats, baby goats. Sharon's got some animals. I can't even. I don't like to talk for anyone, but she's got goats. She might bring them to the witches' Sabbath.
I'd be happy.
I don't know how she's gonna get away with that, but she's a dreamer just like me.
I'd probably curl up in the corner, just hanging on to the goat, just be like.
But if she brings the goats, that's the problem. Our egos are gonna get out. She's gonna even be like, "No one's paying attention to me. They're paying attention to my effing goats." I'll be like, "The goats are killing the vibe." And no, everyone will be like, "We love the goats. Pictures with the goats." We'll be forgotten. Don't bring the goats.
Oh yeah.
Anything else? Does anyone have questions? It doesn't look like it. I can't. Oh, I can't scroll through. Good. I'm 57. Anyway.
Yeah, with the people here, if you got any questions that didn't get answered or you came in late, now's your time.
You recording this?
It's all recorded.
Good. All right, no questions.
Well, Damien wants to come up. I think he's got a question for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, where did you go?
Rampy's getting tired. Can you hear it in my voice?
I don't know where he went.
Hold one.
Nope.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, well.
Satanic Almanac is free on archive.org. I got a lot of free stuff on archive.org. If you don't have dough, there's plenty of stuff up there. And if you have dough, I'd love to sell you something. And like I said, there's a good deal going right now because of Damien. You hit me up, you get it. I'll really appreciate you listening and stuff, so I'll hook you up real good.
Yeah, and do it, because I don't even get one of those cool keychains.
You know how it goes.
I got a cool patch. I got a old flyer to the Witches' Sabbath. I got the #1, which I still love.
Look at this guy. Damien's getting a wedding gift from me. That's a sculpture, okay? And he's gonna say, I don't even get the keychain. I got a whole box packed up for this guy. Get a wedding gift from me. I don't send wedding gifts. He's gonna go, I don't get a keychain. He wants a keychain too. No, you don't get it. You get it if you get. I'll hook you up if you buy the book from me. So now Damien's gonna have to sneak around, have someone buy the book for him to get the keychain because he would want to buy 2 books, but he might.
No. You're talking to the book nerd. I have no problem buying duplicate books.
If I were a rich man, I would give you all the book. I would love to do that. But
nah, dude. Just being able to talk to you is a gift in itself.
Thank you. Hey.
Especially with someone like me. I'm coming with no people of contact with, and just by being able to interact and be able to contact with people who were there and hear their stories, so that way those stories will be able to continue. Like you said, we're the generation with the head on their shoulder who's going to be able to keep this stuff going.
Well, I'll tell you, I was brought in, jumped into the counterculture by people that knew, like William Burroughs. I one poet that everyone loves that did a Howl? Ginsberg. I met Ginsberg. I met Allen Ginsberg. And these people, one of the rules of the beat poets and the old counterculture people was document everything. Document everything you're doing. Save it, write it, publish it, produce it, because no one else will. We're creating our own culture. And so what Damien's doing, I did when I was younger. I was interviewing every old cat, trying to get their stories before they left the earth, because it's important to have that knowledge. Whether it's right or wrong, it's important to understand what happened before you, because you're not going to read about it in history books. The people with money aren't going to let you. They're not going to want these stuff out here. Any more live YouTube, Shane? Eventually, yeah. I was doing that with Stanton, and it broke my heart when he died. So it's been hard for me to get back into that. But yes, I do want to do that. That was a surprising blow to me that I was so sad. But we really became close in his last days, in his last years. And so, yeah, that was hard.
Like I said earlier, Stan was one of the first people I went to go contact. He was one of the first person that I went to go contact with. Got to talk to him for about a day. And then a month later, we get all the tragic news. Like, he's gone. I did the same thing with Aquino. I sent him a message. I got a reply back. Waited. And then hear that he went away back in 2018. So, again, you got to talk to these people now. And that's why I said this is such a gift to be able to talk to people like Shane.
You think about it, like I got the last interview with Anton, and I got the last interview with Stanton, and I'm holding the last interview with Carla right now. And it was hard to get the Stanton and Carla one. I had to talk to Carla for over a year to do it, and try to convince her. So it was worth it, because they gave me knowledge that's not out there. They gave me an insight into things that I haven't read before, heard before. And so it was really important for me. And I have a love for this culture. Whether people love me back would not matter. I know that they're going to read the work I put out there. I know they're going to read those interviews. And I know that's going to help with the foundation of the culture. So whether I'm appreciated for it or not doesn't matter when I do it. I do it because of my own greed, because of what I love. And as an artist or a person that is idealistic, the artist and poet in me, I do want to try to change the world. The Satanist in me is laughing at me right now. Okay. Yeah. Keep trying.
Like I said, this has been absolutely incredible. You don't get these chances. And I'm honored to have this chance.
Thank you, man.
I can't wait to see you there at the Witches Sabbath. Sharon, if you're still in here, I can't wait to meet you. It'll be an absolute pride and joy. I have a few people who have already started asking on the next Witch Sabbath if they want to come down and perform. Some lovely folks who are fire breathers.
Don't bother. Don't bother getting a hold of us. We'll find you.
Yep.
So I guess try to figure out how to get in our good graces without pitching yourself, because we recruit people. We want to find energies. We want to see it, and we it's our football team. We recruit them. There's no, you're not gonna be able to do nothing to get in. But if you could, like, just be cool. You could say, hey, this is what I do. Be cool with us. Be cool. Buy something on behalf of my ex, and all of a sudden Sharon's going to go, hey, what you doing over there? So it's like that. I hate to tell you. It's the same with Doug Mesner. How do you get a hold of me? I'll take you out anywhere you want to eat. I'm like, sushi, because the most expensive meal.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to.
I can't wait to take you out to some of the sushi places here when you come in to visit.
So I love.
Had all you can eat sushi until you come to Reno.
Oh, I'm going to be there tomorrow.
That's the thing. My in-laws, their next door neighbor's a pilot, and he's traveled the world. And every time someone mentions sushi, he's like, Reno. Reno's the only place that has the sushi that all you could eat, and it tastes amazing.
I love that.
So, when you come out, my treat.
I love it. Thank you. I plan on visiting soon, so
I can't wait. Like,
I can't wait either.
sushi. All right, man. Anything else you want to say?
No, I'm good. All I can say is, when I turn around, did you see the bald spot?
What bald spot?
Good. My hair's okay today. They go together well.
There you go, guys. Go get it. You know what? I will say this last thing. At least your bald spot's behind you, so when people look at you, they don't see it. This is getting worse every single year.
I feel you. I had my hair for quite a long time. My hair used to be all the way down to my waist. So it's been something getting old and have it go off my head and into a ponytail. This is what happens. Anything.
Right.
The worst part about the only thing worse about losing your hair is trying to keep it, like plugs, and it's nonsense.
Like I said, man, it's been a blast. I can't wait to hang out at the Witches Sabbath. It's going to be a blast. And it's in LA. There's going to be so much stuff going on that week. So try to get down there early.
Yeah. And we got cool people showing up. You'll see.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Peace out, bro.
All right, man. It was great talking with you.
Love to you all. Are we done?
Yeah. You want?
You going to save this?
Yeah. Everything will be saved.
Send me a link, bro. And good night to everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
All right. There you have it. That was almost a 2-hour interview with the infamous Shane Bugbee. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a while since I did a broadcast on this here app. Yes, this app is a pain in the ass sometimes, but you know what? You always find a gem every once in a while. Have a good night. Live for the fullest, and hail Satan.